On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, we have a lot to talk about, of course, starting with Mizzou's 14-3 win over Ohio State. Tigers get a win in the Cotton Bowl. We were at the game, all three of us, so we'll recap kind of our venture there. Of course, talk all about the game itself. That'll be the majority of our Mizzou talk, but we do have a bunch of other stuff to hit on as well. We have guys declaring for the draft, Ennis Rakestraw, Senior Bowl stuff, people returning, commitments that we missed in the last week, a bunch of news, and then we're going to recap. We'll also do a quick recap of the men's basketball game against Central Arkansas as well, because that happened over the weekend. So plenty to dive into. Very, very exciting show to recap the Cotton Bowl. We'll just be awesome to recap what was a super fun win for Mizzou, of course. Maybe talk a little bit about their trajectory next season, because it's just an exciting time. We'll also do quick hits. We got Ken Sports Shorts, Best Beats, Dirty Birds, the Fraud Rankings, and the Ratio of the Week. So plenty of good stuff to dive into on quick hits. Very excited to get into all of it. And before the Unwritten Rules starts, quick word from our sponsors at Bet Online. The only people who don't get time off this time of year are pro athletes and us at Bet Online. With NFL bowl season and NBA in full swing over the holidays, BetOnline isn't taking a second off to make sure you have all the top up to second odds and news and info. BetOnline has all the sports wagering info available you need with both desktop and mobile access. College football playoffs coming up. We'll have, I know Payton has a line on that in his best beats, all from BetOnline. So head there today to get in on the action. And remember to use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV, BELIEVE, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Thank you to BetOnline for sponsoring the show, and the Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Peyton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to the Unwritten Rule. Today is Monday, January 1st. Happy New Year and happy Cotton Bowl champions to the Missouri Tigers. 14-3. They took down Ohio State. What was an epic win. I'm not going to call it an epic game objectively, because, for the first half, I think if you were watching on TV and not in Dallas, not in Jerry World like the three of us were, you might not have had the most pleasant or enjoyable experience. Might have been a little bit sleep-inducing, but it doesn't matter. Mizzou got the touchdowns at the end to seal the Cotton Bowl win over Ohio State and what has been an unprecedentedly great season for Mizzou. You can tell I still haven't gotten my voice all the way back. I was yelling and screaming. Shouts out to all the Mizzou fans who made the trip, along with Kenny, Payton, and I. Jerry World, very cool. That's my assessment of that stadium. Had never been there before. But boys, how are we feeling after the trip to Jerry World after a big win in the Cotton Bowl for the Missouri Tigers?
Pretty galvanized, I think, is the best word I'd use for how I feel about that game. And it just felt like the whole year we were just the Mizzou fan and me at least, and I know Kenny had mentioned it while we were in the fourth quarter of that game, just felt like we were always waiting for the other shoe to drop on this season. Just like, because, good things can't always happen to Mizzou, it feels like. But, man, this season was just such a rousing success. It was really just 3 quarters of absolute misery on offense, except for the last drive of the third quarter. But like Drinkwitz said, has had kind of been the theme throughout a lot of the year. Mizzou just flat out wanted it more in the fourth quarter. As they did, it seemed like they really were just so motivated throughout the whole year. I don't know where I'd place this in like biggest wins in school history, but I'd have to think it's pretty up there because Ohio State, yes, the expectations for them every year are national title. Let's beat Michigan. They clearly cared at least somewhat about this game. Marvin Harrison didn't play, no. Kyle McCord was practically forced out. So Devin Brown was got the start. But I mean, on defense, they were missing one guy, Tommy Eichenberg, and I don't even know if that was an opt-out. It could have been injury related, but pretty much everybody played, and Mizzou flat out beat them. I mean, yes, Lincoln Keyholes had to play like almost the entire game. He was not up to the task, but you can only play who you're lined up against. And Ohio State was clearly trying in this game, and Mizzou was just flat out the better team at the end of the day.
And when you talk about, one of the best wins in Missouri history, it's hard not to just say it's up there, especially for young guys like us. I know we've had some comments before talking about, what would you want more, to beat KU or to win the New Year's Six Bowl game? And, at the point you are right now in Missouri sports, this is what you wanted. This is how big this meant to the program, to guys coming back next year, to recruiting as a whole, to show that there are other SEC programs that aren't just the regular blue bloods. And you heard Drinkwitz talk about that. Mizzou is not a blue blood. It's not going to be a blue blood. But there are, impact players. There are NFL players on this team that aren't even declaring for the draft that are coming back. And there's a lot to be excited about there. And when you kind of break up, the history of Mizzou as well and where college football is going, this is definitely one of the best in the last 10 years, hands down. One of the best in the last 20 years, just what it kind of means to where college football is going. It's the last regular season of what the last 10 years of college football has looked like. We're going into an expanded playoff next year. That's really going to help Mizzou out. That's something we talked about this year. What if the expanded playoff was this year? Mizzou would have, been in contention for one of those 12 spots. Unbelievable feeling. Last thing I'll say before we get into the nitty gritty stuff. I remember looking at Payton and I was like, where's the late flag? What's going to happen here that just flips this game on its back and ruins it for Mizzou? And it just never happened. And that's where this, the last 4 years of watching this team and, other fans having to deal with the suffering and just the misery of everything, nothing going Mizzou's way in a lot of these games. And this season, just everything really went their way.
Yeah, galvanizing, I think, is the perfect word to describe it, like Payton said. And like you said, Kenny, like they won the game, and Drinkwitz afterward, said, like, we're not done, basically. He said the whole thing of no one's waiting for us to come join the best of the best. We have to kick the door down. We wanted it more, and we have to continue to want it more. I mean, it's a win that feels like not only the culmination of a great season, but it feels like it's building to something even better. With this 12-team playoff coming in, Mizzou's going to be in prime position to be one of those teams in next year. Going to finish with a decent ranking, especially after Florida State got beaten down by Georgia in that other game. But yeah, I think it's just galvanizing. It was so awesome. And you could feel the weight of, like Kenny said, all that misery kind of lift off when that celebration ensued and all the Mizzou fans around us. It was just electric. It was electric to be a part of. And it was just something special. And I think it's a mark of something special continuing to brew in Columbia. That's represented, like we're going to touch on it more, but Drinkwitz getting an extension today on Sunday. Deservedly so, through 2028. So they're buying into him. But yeah, just a galvanizing, awesome win, 14-3. Let's dive into some of the nitty gritty. And, we can start at the end if you guys want, with Mizzou kind of driving down the field. Payton mentioned it. I mean, this Ohio State defense, they all played. The guy who was out, it was an injury, Payton. I can confirm. They said that on the highlight reel. I thought I was going to find myself a new least favorite player in Jack Sawyer, the defensive end who got 3 sacks. He was pissing me off. I'll tell you what. But again, it was when Brady Cook, to me, didn't look comfortable in the pocket. They were able to feed Cody Schrader, and then that big play happened. I'll have another take on Marquis Johnson with that catch that he had. But the big play happened. They set up those 2 touchdowns. They scored. They took care of business to stand on business. What are your boys' thoughts on the specifics of how Mizzou got this win?
I think that's a good place to start, honestly, is just Sawyer and what Ohio State's defense was really doing the first 3 quarters, because that I really did. Like I said, I think over text to you two, like if Mizzou can come out and just like punch Ohio State straight in the mouth, like go up 14-0 or something, Ohio State would roll over and die. That's just the way that program has really operated for a lot of maybe all of Ryan Day's tenure. They're just not the same program they were under Urban Meyer. It's a weaker mentality in that program, and I mean that with full criticism towards Ryan Day, but I'll give them credit, man. They were absolutely into this game. I mean, that defense absolutely was motivated to win this game. They did not think they were above this game, and it showed. Um, we've rightfully, I think, praised Mizzou's offensive line growth throughout much of the year. Brady Cook, obviously, we've sang his praises deservedly, I think. Um, Neither one of them, though, for 3 quarters was any good. I mean, Mizzou, the two things I thought were key for Mizzou in this game, they had to dominate the physical battle in the trenches, and Brady Cook had to stop himself, just not turn the ball over. He didn't turn the ball over, but he really was ending possessions, just feeling pressure that wasn't there on occasion. He had a couple really rough throws. It just was a mess, and it wasn't all his fault. The O-line was not good for 3 quarters. There were just uncharacteristic mistakes all the time. I mean, Membu got a flag. In the 3rd quarter, I mean, Kenny pointed this out to me. Xavier Delgado got his first false start in 2 years. I mean, it was just a rough showing for 3 quarters. But you know what? In the 4th quarter, it was like Drinkwitz said. They were tougher, stronger, faster. They were just the better team. It was like flip of a switch. I mean, the O-line just held up perfectly. Brady Cook made way better decisions with the ball. I thought he played that 4th quarter. He didn't throw the ball too much. I think it was maybe one of his best quarters of the entire season. He was really good. I really think they finished the game strong. Connor Tollison, I think it's important to note, he struggled again with the snaps for a little bit. But one thing I think I have always yelled at him about is when the damn edge rushers jump off sides, snap the ball, get a free play. And wouldn't you know, that last 91-yard drive, when they jump off sides, Brady Cook on the hard count gets both of them. Tollison I swear that's the first time he's ever done it. The first time he's ever done it. Brady Cook gets a perfect ball to Theo Weiss. I think that was really the moment I was like, oh my God, like this might really be happening here. But overall, like bad 3 quarters, absolutely perfect finish for the O-line and Brady Cook in the 4th.
I turned to you on that Theo Weiss throw, and I was like, "That's what he's here for." All my cousins went to Oklahoma. They've watched Theo Weiss. They're like, he's a big body. He can go up and get balls. I mean, he's not the tallest guy in the field. He's what 6'1", 6'2", in that range. He can still go up there and get it. He's aggressive. He's strong. We've been hearing for a while. It is some on Instagram lives or Luther Burden saying he's going to come back. We don't have official word on that yet. What his decision is, if anything else has been reported. I mean, Theo's been a huge addition to this team, and I think everyone's seen that. There's been spurts this year, moments where maybe Luther takes a step back, a little bit banged up, just not open, and Theo's there. And Theo was, I think, one of more of the unsung heroes, just always, has one of those big plays. And if you look at that Kentucky game as well, when they were down early on, I mean, he was one of the guys that was open. And I think that really says a lot about Theo. One thing I'll say, Payton, you told us everything about that offensive line. I made a joke to you as the Joe Moore Award knew a little bit more than we did about this offensive line, just kind of joking. And the thing that just really stood out to me about Jack Sawyer, only 4 tackles, 4 solo, 3 sacks. Those would really, the thing that just eye-catching there. And I read a tweet that Ohio State's leading sacker this year had, I think, 2 in one game. Jack Sawyer had 3 in this game. So pretty big there to see. And the thing about Jack Sawyer wasn't just that he was, getting the quarterback. He was just controlling the edge, making Brady Cook step up in the pocket. And then guys in the interior of the defensive line were just there. A lot of miscommunication, just holes early on. And, Payton mentioned kind of turned it around there at the end. Guy that I just heard names too many times was Cody Simon. Those 12 tackles at the linebacker position, that was pretty big for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, the commentator said, like, Brady Cook had a scramble and he gained like 12 yards and he went around Jack Sawyer, and the guy literally goes, he didn't set the edge very well there. Not a good play by Sawyer. And I was like, well, you just reverse jinxed him, because he proceeded to do that for the rest of the game pretty much until that 4th quarter, which again, to Peyton's point, Mizzou showed up. I think you guys hit on pretty much everything on the offense. Well, the only thing I'll bring up is, my goodness, that throw from Brady Cook to Luther Burden, looking at all I couldn't stop looking at the different angles of how he zipped it in there. Just a perfect perfect throw. Luther Burden did the LeBron celebration on the King's birthday, or I think the day before the King's birthday, whatever, which I thought was pretty funny. My main take from this offense is like, I've got to just like, Marquis Johnson's my favorite player on this team, and he's going to be my favorite player on this team next year. I was yelling at Payton and Kenny that I want to steal the Hollywood nickname for him that Marquise Brown of the Arizona Cardinals has. They always call him Hollywood, because this guy just steps up, and all season has stepped up and made play after play after play. And I think as a true freshman, you're coming in, you're barely targeted in most of these games, and then you're asked to go on a go route and catch these deep passes that change games, and he's done it all season. And I think that's super impressive, and I think as his role gets bigger for this team, he's just gonna become way more scary, because we see that lights out speed, we see that big playability. But just like Kenny's touched on it with Mookie Cooper, who also, shout out, made plays in this game and talked his shit afterward about being an Ohio State transfer. But I think Marquis Johnson just does the same thing. And when they unleashed him on that deep pass, I was like, this is finally the big play that we've been looking for all game, that we wanted to see in the first quarter to kind of blow this game open. But I got to give him his praise. He's just so much fun to watch. And the way that you can step up and just come in cold and make a play like that is great. I thought that throw from Brady was great. I think you guys said it well. Do you have any other takes on the offense? Otherwise, I want to ask you guys about this Mizzou defense and how you think they did in terms of limiting. Yes, Payton brought it up, Ohio State quarterbacking unit that really was not up to it. But still, I think this defense deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, on Theo Weiss, he tweeted today, I got some news for y'all soon. In the meantime, let me enjoy some downtime with my family. I think he'll be back. But yeah, going back to Marquis Johnson, it really is just an embarrassment of riches at receiver, right? I mean, you got Luther Burden, who everybody knows, stud, the star of the show, practically. Just all-world receiver, probably going to be a top 10 pick in the draft next year. You got Theo Weiss, who, like Kenny said, has just been the guy that when Brady Cook is feeling himself, he'll throw a jump ball out there. Theo Weiss more often than not comes down with it. Got Mookie Cooper, who can make anyone on the field miss. Then Marquis Johnson, Mekhi Miller is wide receiver 4. Marquis Johnson is wide receiver 5, and he's just a dude you can bring out when you need a casual 50-yard gain or something like that. Really is just incredibly ridiculous how good Jacob Peeler is at his job. I cannot believe no one is hiring him to do something more. I genuinely think is on a staff full of world beaters. I think he's the best assistant on staff. But yeah, we pretty much hit everything on the offense. They got it done when they needed it to. I love the ceiling on Marquis Johnson. He could really turn into just a lethal player for them.
Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. And Gabe DeArmond said it well when he was with us last week about, we asked him, there's a lot of more freshmen getting involved this year. And it wasn't just a testament, wanting to keep these guys around, show them they can play. A lot of these guys just, stepped up, and Marquis Johnson did what he did all season. Last thing I want to mention about the offense, Jack, you mentioned the Luther Burden touchdown, threading a needle, getting it past defenders, finding him in the back of the end zone. And I talk about stuff going Mizzou's way and not going that way in the past. That 2020 Arkansas game on the 2-point conversion where the ball gets past Aubrey Miller's hands in the end zone and into an Arkansas player's hands. Mizzou ends up winning that game. We know that off the leg of Harrison Mevis. But it just when he caught it, I was trying not to look at the jumbotron. I wanted to see it in real time on the field, and I couldn't tell if someone actually nabbed it or not. But that was just one of those plays that reminds you of the past and actually goes Mizzou's way this time. Yeah,
it was awesome. It's just, the things bouncing Mizzou's way, and then them doing it themselves. They deserve immense credit, like we said on the offense side of the ball. Let's touch on the defense too. And my only other offensive take, only thing I was sad about, no catches for the Fleet on Sunday.
Hold on. No, he had one. He had one for 2 yards. We should
my bad.
Probably mention that Cody Schrader broke Tyler Beatty's single season rushing record.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We didn't even really touch on Cody. We should, because this is where Kenny brought this up. Yeah. Well, let's touch on Cody Schrader. Good point, Payton. Oh my God. Because this was a guy, we need to re-give away the Players of the Game award, in my opinion. Cody Schrader, 128 yards, scored the first touchdown. like when nothing was working in the pass game, they could hand him the ball and he was making plays. Once again, just doing his thing. Like Payton said, he's the new single season rushing leader for Mizzou. I mean, just an awesome ending to an amazing story, and should have won the player of the game for his performance.
Yeah, we can't like we've done it to death. Like we don't need to rehash everything that led up to this moment for Cody Schrader. You know the story by now, but I mean, good God, there will never be a portal pickup for Mizzou quite like Cody Schrader. That just the bang for your buck that he gave you. Quite frankly, I think he probably worked himself from an unknown in NFL circles to maybe a late round draft pick. I'm not a scout, but I would be surprised if Cody Schrader doesn't get a shot somewhere and probably makes the most of it considering the work ethic, how he's kind of built himself. It was like it was for everyone else. It was a struggle early for Cody. I mean, Mizzou was trying to get their wide zone going for a lot of the game, but credit to Ohio State. I mean, there were plays. I think I literally turned and said it to maybe Kenny. I don't even remember who, but there was like just a big hole that Cody Schrader hit. It was a good gain. It was like 6 or 7 yards. But I was like mad after because I'm like, how many times did they have that exact stretch play go for like 20, 30 yards in SEC play? But as the game wore on, Mizzou just wore them down, just kept working and working. And Cody Schrader closed. I mean, he on that 91-yard drive that gave Mizzou a 2-possession lead. I mean, the first 3 plays were just handoffs to him, and he picked up a first down on his own. Just really set the tone. He stayed with it. Cannot say enough about Cody Schrader. I do agree he probably should have been offensive MVP. I don't think it was the most ridiculous snub, though, believe it or not.
Fair.
We'll get to that in a second. And one last thing about Cody Schrader, no receptions, no receiving yards. We talked about he's doing it in the pass and the catch this season. Needed him a little bit more on the blocking game in this one, as we mentioned earlier, with a little bit of struggles with the offensive line and an overpowering front from Ohio State. But credit to this offensive staff for really drawing up different schemes there at the end. A lot of motion in that offense. I think really shifted a lot of what Ohio State's plans were on the defensive side of the ball. Kirby Moore, all those guys that were really getting into that stuff. And I think that was a big thing that maybe was a little overshadowed by some of these big plays. It's just how that offense have adjusted, not just in the blocking game, but moving guys around and really just opening up the field.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and he was just awesome as usual. Maybe that's why we forgot to talk about him, because it was like, 128 yards, typical Tuesday for Cody Schrader. But yeah, I mean, he was just electric and will be immortalized in this program forever. I don't think that's an over exaggeration, given his story and just given what he did. Like you can put the story aside. Like it doesn't matter where he came from. He had an exceptional season, not just an exceptional season for a former walk-on. It's phenomenal. Deserved every one of those Heisman votes. Shouts out to the person that gave him a first place vote. I still want to find that guy and have him on the show. But yeah, I mean, just an awesome game for the offense. Okay.
Also,
defensive
one more
side.
thing.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Shout out to Curtis Looper for having literally setting the record for rushing yards by a Mizzou running back in a single season 2 times in 3 years. That's unbelievable.
We've been very spoiled for choice. I've said this before with Schrader now and Roundtree and Beatty before them. And yeah, it's been awesome. Okay, let's get into this defense. Cause this is, I mean, they held Ohio State to 3 points, and I'm going to pull out a stat that I'm sure you guys also saw. Mizzou's been notoriously great against AP top 10 teams. A lot of these are very old. The 3 points against Ohio State was I'm looking at this 5th time they've allowed 3 or fewer points against an AP top 10 team. They allowed 3 against Mississippi State back in the 80s. And then a lot of these are very old, including 2 points against 1941 Fordham, a powerhouse at the time, number 6 in the country. But so it's a little bit on brand for Mizzou's defense to step up against the top 10 team. I just thought that graphic was funny. But do you guys want to start with Johnny Walker, the most maybe involved player on the defense in terms of being talked about on the broadcast and earning a certain award at the end of the game?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the word I would use. Maybe the most rewarded on the defense, technically. I mean, I don't. Okay, for those that don't know, didn't see the trophy presentation, he won defensive MVP. I think that's a little silly. And it's not, I'm not trying to down on Johnny Walker. He had a great season. He really stepped up at the edge position, which is where Mizzou really was concerned coming into the year. Like that was the biggest question mark, I think, on the roster maybe coming into the season outside of quarterback. He played well in that game, but Daylan Carnell absolutely lit Ohio State up. It was the best game Daylan Carnell has played, and he has had a lot of good games at Mizzou. I think Daylan Carnell probably got himself drafted with that game. Obviously, he's not going to go this year, but in the future, I think he probably did himself a big favor with that game. Don't think Johnny Walker should have won, though.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. You talk a little bit about, getting that, I guess the personal foul after the play, just shoving an Ohio State player in the face mask. And they're always going to get the second guy. It happens all the time. And we were talking to some Ohio State fans behind us. It's like, yeah, it's been a little bit of those issues this year that Johnny Walker's just been caught as the second guy getting into a scuffle. And we've seen this Mizzou team get in a few scuffles here and there, and they backed it up with their play. And it happens. And I mean, there's emotion in every football game, and that happens. And Johnny Walker was just on the receiving end of that penalty. I did like what Jalen Carley's did. Payton and I were talking about when the game was at 3-0, who would be the MVP for Mizzou right now, if not Riley Williams, who ended up having a pretty decent day for how much we knock on the special teams unit sometimes. Those 11 tackles, 8 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. And I believe Carley's was on the hit that knocked out, is it Devin?
No,
Devin Brown. He was on the hit that Devin Brown kind of left with that lower leg injury. Not saying that he was trying to hurt him, but I mean, he was in the backfield a lot of these plays. It wasn't just in the secondary. Those exotic blitzes that this defense draws up behind Baker, and there's a lot going on there. And I thought that he was really just the standout. And one more thing I just want to mention before I throw it back to you, Jack, is the linebacker play was pretty good too. I think this Mizzou team is in good hands with Triston Newson. Chuck Hicks, of course, is coming back, an experienced guy. I really like the play from Triston Newson. He is more of a hybrid linebacker to me. He doesn't look built like a linebacker. I mean, he's not a Chad Bailey. He's not a Tyron Hopper, this big dude. I saw him out there. I thought he was a defensive back. So I like the play from Triston Newson in this game.
You stole my take, damn it. That's what I was going to go to next. I thought the linebacker play was good. Triston Newson, 10 tackles. He's fun. He's a good player, and I think you have to give him and Chuck Hicks a lot of credit, like Kenny said, of being able to step up here. Agree with Payton. I thought it probably should have gone. I don't think it should have gone to Johnny Walker Jr. He was good, and I think so. The play, I want to revisit this briefly. The play early where he got the technical strip sack. Did they wind up, because they gave him a forced fumble for that play, did they wind up deeming that Ohio State, that he fell back on it, and that's why it wasn't a fumble? Because I know Mizzou picked it up.
According to the stats, they didn't even give him a fumble for it. So,
maybe I'm looking at the wrong
forced
thing.
Fumble, or maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing.
I'm seeing one forced fumble for Johnny Walker, and I don't remember another one besides the one late that Daylan Carnell had that you mentioned at the end of the game.
I don't really know.
That was weird.
It should have been Mizzou's football. It didn't really matter at the end of the day, but
that's what I was gonna say. I couldn't
really hear what the reasoning was.
Yeah, but that and the penalty were the two plays, Kenny, that you brought up. The misery kind of keep like the other shoe drops. Like those were two plays where I'm like, oh, they didn't get that fumble call. Johnny Walker does that on the third down. Now Ohio State's gonna drive down and score instead of punting from their own end zone or what have you. But it didn't happen, and you do have to give credit to how LC played. So take nothing away. Thought the linebacker play was good. Only other thing I thought Cad was actually pretty good in this game. He had the PBU, doing well without Ennis. What?
He separated his shoulder.
He did separate his shoulder, which isn't great. But I still thought he played all right for especially with Ennis out. And Egmeka Egbuka is no joke. So he didn't have a quarterback thrown to him, but I thought Cad was all right. Kenny, you have another thing on the defense?
Yeah, I got 2 things to point out in the secondary. Good buddy of mine, Marcus Clark. He doesn't know me personally, but I know him well. I talked him up a lot when he came over from Miami. I was just interested in a guy who came over from Miami and didn't get a scholarship because there wasn't one at the time. And that's why there's a lot of, jokes around me and Marcus Clark. I always asked a lot of guys about him. Payton said he didn't have a good game. We saw a PBU and another overthrow that a guy he was guarding. We don't have to talk about the third one. We don't need to at all. Last thing I'll point out there, we didn't see a lot of Sidney Williams and Travis Johnson this year. And Travis Johnson, up and down season, kind of saw sporadic play. Those two guys coming from Florida. There was one play that they were both on the tackle. And I've told Payton this, and I know I keep saying it. I told Payton, I told Jack this, but Sidney Williams might be the best celebration guy on this defense. Every single play, he was on the ground after getting a half tackle, doing the surfing swim move and jumped up. Man, the guy's electric. And we barely saw him this season. Put him out on the field more, get these guys a little hyped up. Cool to see the Florida State and Florida guy on the same tackle, though.
Every defense needs that guy. Also, actually, Payton, I'll let you make your point first because this is more of a joke. So what do you have? But I have two more things.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just building off Kenny's point real quick. Sidney Williams, I thought he actually played really well. He got a lot more run with Ennis out due to injury. Ennis was actually on Gabe DeArmond's podcast just today, and we're recording this on a Sunday. He talked about how he was battling an injury since the K-State game, and he just couldn't get through it for the bowl game. So, bummer for him, but I thought the DBs largely stepped up very well. Like Kenny said, Marcus Clark did have one pass breakup. I would argue it could have been an interception, but to each their own. Travis Johnson, like Kenny said, up and down. Cad did play great. I wasn't saying he wasn't playing well. He played great, especially when you consider Drinkwitz tried to take him out, and he said, to hell with that, I'm playing through this. Cad will definitely be remembered should he go to the draft. Just especially switching from receiver over to corner says a lot about him. But yeah, and the defense as a whole, this stat here just really kind of captures it all to me. Ohio State was held to 203 total yards, which was the fewest they had in 103 games since 2015. That also snapped an 88 game streak of scoring a touchdown. I don't care who is at quarterback, man. Devin Brown and Keyholes are both 4 stars, all right? These aren't some nobody walk-ons, okay? This Ohio State team had 73 4 and 5 stars on their roster going into this game, okay? Their backups are 4 stars. That is how good this program is. And Blake Baker, obviously he did get a little fancy. I mean, Blake Baker loves an exotic blitz every other play. But his plan was very, very simple. It's, okay, these are not the most talented quarterbacks we've played this year. Let's blitz the hell out of them. And it absolutely worked. Lincoln Keyholes faded 10 yards in the pocket every other play. He had no chance on a lot of plays. Daylan Carnell off the edge, he was completely unblocked half the time. It was unbelievable. They bottled up Travion Henderson very well. He came into the game averaging 6 yards a carry. He was the real quarterback of the offense. We saw it a couple times. He was walking up to the offensive line and back to Keyholes and saying, this is the adjustment you should make, stuff like that. He only averaged 3.8 yards. Just an unbelievable job from Blake Baker and his unit. Blake Baker, who Drink said after the game, he turned down a lot of defensive coordinator jobs this past month. So Mizzou's going to have Blake Baker back in the fold for another year, at least. Hopefully it's longer, but if not, I mean, he will have given at least Mizzou a masterpiece in the Cotton Bowl here.
Yeah, both played, defense played well. Blake Baker schemed well. Ohio State, I did, at times I've never seen so many direct snaps just being forced to use some of those to Henderson, some of the receivers, just because they had guys out. My only other 2 things were, one, the hit from Daylan Carnell was on an Ohio State receiver. I forget who, but that was nasty, where he just lowered the shoulder. And then other things, just fun game observations from being there. The ref, and on the forced fumble at the end that said, went Missouri football. and just, had some nice twang there. That made me laugh. I saw a sign at the game that said the University of Missouri. That was well done. Everyone, the atmosphere was just great. I mean, we went to the plaza outside the stadium before and after, and it was just electric. And Mizzou fans showed out. And that is one thing I know for like future bowl games, in years when Mizzou's record is more, you're not as sure what bowl game they're going to get. Fan turnout is a very good indicator that you'll get sent to a better bowl game. So that's a good thing to show, kind of the NCAA and stuff in years forward. That's a broader point. But yeah, awesome game, awesome win. And let's hit on some other stuff, boys. We can roll through these because I know we spent a long time recapping, as we should. But I mentioned the Drinkwitz extension. He's now at Mizzou through 2028. Obviously, finished third in voting for AP Coach of the Year, was SEC Coach of the Year by the other coaches and the AP. Finalist for the Bobby Dodd. Well earned, I think. We have Ennis Rakestraw. He's going to the draft. So Payton said, obviously sucks that he couldn't go out playing in the bowl game, but hell of a career. I mean, he's the guy who I think we turn it back to that kind of started it all with, how excited the video of Drink was, people making fun. Oh, it's just a 3-star. And then he turns out to be an electric player. And Mizzou fans knew how good he would be. And then this is a good segue too. The only other thing we didn't talk about in this game, because it wasn't much of a factor, at least from Harrison Mevis, Riley Williams. Turns out he went out with a bang because he's going in the portal. I thought he had a great game. 8 punts, 326 yards, averaged about 40 yards per punt. So, yeah. But I wanted to hit those in threes just because, it's a lot of news. But Ennis, Drink, Riley Williams. He's gone.
Yeah.
But I had to shout out his punting performance. I thought he was good.
Yeah, he was good. He was really terrible for a lot of the year. The writing was kind of on the wall when Orion committed last week. Luke Bauer's not on scholarship. Riley Williams is. That's just a numbers game thing. Even if you think Riley Williams is better than Luke Bauer, which maybe he is, I don't really think it matters. Neither one is very good at punting. Ennis Rakestraw, like we said, kind of the first big recruiting win for a guy who has turned into. He kind of built his reputation on recruiting at first. I mean, obviously now he's a Cotton Bowl champion, just won a New Year's Six game, but Ennis Rakestraw really was kind of the first big recruit win for Drinkwitz. And Drinkwitz, I don't think it was any secret. I was a pretty big critic of Drinkwitz coming into this year. I was not a huge believer, but obviously earned every penny of whatever his raise is.
I know the end of the season video that we're kind of all expecting, how this season went. It's going to start with that Kansas State kick, of course. One of the best kicks in college football history, given the circumstances of it and where it was from. I just sometimes, I'm just hoping, I wish Ennis had played in this game. I wish, he made an instant impact as we all would have thought of. And then you just start this movie about, how this new era of Mizzou football started this season. And you go back to some of those videos of Drinkwitz reacting to kids signing or kids announcing they're going to commit, and you get like the reaction from that, or Daylan Carnell, other guys on that offense, Luther Burden, how they reacted to it. And it was just like 2 years in the future, this team is on cloud 9. And I think that would have been an awesome way to start that movie. And they won't do it because it's more of a team thing. It's not just one guy that they picked up. It was 3 years ago. It's about, how did everyone make an impact together? The one thing I just want to mention about that, I know I'm kind of going off the track here, and I brought it up before, is that you want this team to build off this year. And I like the mentality of, why stop now? They won the Cotton Bowl. That wasn't the goal. The goal wasn't the Cotton Bowl. Every year Drinkwitz goes into that. We want to win in Atlanta. That's what you want. And the thing, we've seen this before with Texas a couple years ago, and at different circumstances for how you view Texas and how Texas runs its operations. But you can't regress in these circumstances. You can lose one or two more games, but you have to be able to carry this season into the next and into the next. And I think this team is understanding that they can't fall back like teams like Baylor and Texas did in recent years.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think it's the best. And that's where I go to circle all the way back to starting this recap, is how it feels so galvanizing, because it feels like Drinkwitz understands that. and the team understands that, and they're going to keep building up and up and not wait for anybody to let them in. They're going to kick that door down and continue to be competitive in the SEC, and that's why he got that extension through 2028. A couple of other things. Cody Schrader got his invite to the Senior Bowl. You mentioned, fun reaction videos. That was a good one. Them calling him. They were filming Drinkwitz. It was like they called Drinkwitz, who also had Schrader on FaceTime, and Drinkwitz was like holding the phone. It's kind of a funny setup, but Cody Schrader, deservedly so. Gents, remind me who else is. It's like 6 guys now, right? Who's all in
Ennis,
the from Mizzou?
Darius, Javon, I believe, and I don't remember the other one.
Javon hasn't officially.
Hopper?
Javon Foster hasn't officially accepted it, according to the Reese's Senior Bowl website. It says that he
has been invited,
but hasn't officially accepted it. It's Cad, Ennis Rakestraw, Darius Robinson, and Tyron Hopper are the officials, along with Cody Schrader. Okay. But we do know that Javon Foster was extended one during the bowl game preparations.
Yeah, so you chuck him one too, maybe, but that'll be super fun for Mizzou fans to watch all those guys again. Just a group that's given so much, like Kenny just said. So deservingly so for that, for Cody Schrader. And then we had Mookie Cooper, of course. He had his nice revenge game, made a catch, and he's going to have the chance to do more damage against other teams for the Missouri Tigers. He's coming back, once again adding to, we touched on it, that loaded wide receiver room for that. And then the other big news, I think that maybe the biggest of the guys we have on here, we have some more commitments, another transfer flip. Chris McClellan, he's a Tiger, the Florida defensive lineman, originally from Tulsa. I believe he's got a 3-star transfer evaluation from Rivals. This is my favorite fact about Chris McClellan, guys. 2 seasons with Florida. I told Payton this at the bowl game. In 2 seasons with Florida, he had exactly both 7 solo tackles and 16 assisted tackles. The same number. So Mr. Consistency also had 1.5 sacks in 2022 and half a sack this season. So a big addition along the defensive line. And then they also added a Rockbridge local guy, linebacker Grayson Crutchlow, in the 2024 class. Only a 2-star. I think he's joining as a preferred walk-on. But if you boys have any thoughts on that news, mostly McClellan, that's obviously another exciting addition to what's been a good portal already for Mizzou.
Yeah, Mizzou's having a very good portal. I'd have to double check what the exact rankings are, but they have one of the top portal classes in the country right now, despite not having a ton of commits out of the portal. I believe they're at 7 right now. Obviously, very good start for them. Being an 11-win team is only going to help that. Good to see that they hit on a big majority of their primary targets. Most of the guys they got on campus in early December wound up committing.
Looking at the On3 just industry rankings, just for the guys that were ranked in their 2024 transfer portal class, Toriano Pride was 30, Caden Green was 11th, Darius Smith from Georgia was 79, Marcus Carroll 158, Corey Flagg 256, and Chris McClellan 364. I mean, that's a pretty good group of guys, and it addresses the needs as well. And I liked what Gabe DeArmond said when he came on here. He was pretty frank about it. I said, if they don't get a defensive tackle, we know how loaded and just deep this defensive tackle room has been. And credit to the portal for where it got with guys like Josh Landry, Jay Jernigan, Christian Williams. It just was a deep room. And I said, will they be okay if they don't get a portal guy? No. If they didn't get McClellan, they were going to go after some other guys, is what Gabe told us. And they addressed that need right away.
Yeah, agreed. Payton, I do, at least on Rivals, Mizzou's ranked 13th, third in the SEC in the transfer portal team ranking. So like you said, that high ranking is being maintained, and they might not be done. Their season just ended, and they've already got 7 guys in, and they're going to continue to look for some, including, and this is an interesting position, I think, for me going into next year with Cody Schrader leaving, is running back. They have Marcus Carroll coming in. They have Kwan Lacey coming in as a freshman, as a 4-star, who I really like, by the way. I think he's going to be a talented guy. Obviously, too soon to tell, but we'll see. I like him, though. But they are also taking a look at Nate Noel, the running back from Appalachian State. Of course, Drinkwitz's old stomping grounds. He had 834 yards, 5 touchdowns last season. I don't know how well you guys know about, what other running backs might be out there, but what are we feeling early days about Mizzou's running back position? Because I've started to get more and more skeptical. I like Marcus Carroll, and obviously, Cody Schrader went from a D2 school and played really well. So you can certainly make the step up from Georgia State. It's possible. Kwan Lacey's there as well. But, I think, as Gabe also said, I think there's more need for a running back still. And maybe is Nate Noel it? Do you guys know of anyone else? Obviously, ETN was a name linked, and then he went to Georgia. So, what are your thoughts there with him and the running back position next season?
I think running back will be fine if they get Noel or not, really. I'm sure they'll pivot to someone else. They'll probably add one in the portal or one from high school. I mean, quite frankly, you can't expect to get a guy that's going to take 80-90% of your carries like Cody Schrader was doing this season. You kind of got to do it more by committee. I am a little interested in Noel. His numbers have actually dipped from what they were in 2021 when he went for 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. He only had 604 yards in 2022, 834 yards this season. Could be injury related, maybe just like we've talked about even in the past, just more committee based. I think that's got to be the goal for Mizzou going into next year. Just get more guys, more touches, whether that be Jamal Roberts, DeVoris Jones has yet to enter the portal. He could be a guy you see something from next year. We don't really know right now, but we didn't know 2 years ago, and then Cody Schrader was a finalist for the Doak this year. So I'm sure it'll work itself out. Not really concerned about the running back room at all.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on the other side of it, looking at it just, I guess, a little more deeper of just, give credit to Curtis Looper. I liked what you said earlier, Peyton, about what he's accomplished with his running backs, breaking records. At the same time, we've seen it in other Mizzou sports and just in everything that you can't just expect someone else to step up and just really take over. These guys have good stats at different levels. It's just about translating to SEC first. Just kind of going into it, just like keep an open mind about who could really step in. I mean, Cody Schrader wasn't the number one guy going into the 2022 season. Someone could really step up, and Jamal Roberts, as Peyton mentioned, younger guys, DeVoris Jones as well, who's a year older. Someone could really step into that role. I do like the sharing of what you get, and I think we talked about that with Marcus Carroll, is that he had yards as a receiving running back as well, and that's something that look out for. That the Mizzou relied on Cody Schrader sometimes to be that safety blanket, and you maybe see Marcus Carroll do that as well. If Noel's here, maybe he doesn't do that. He just gives you something else on third downs or different actions in the run game. And I think that's what you just have to start thinking about, is where these guys plug into what you lost.
Yeah, I think maybe again it just shows how spoiled I've been as a Mizzou fan with running backs. So I think this split backfield is an all right way to go. I don't think I said the details specifically about Noel, which is that he's visiting on January 5th. Not just that the Tigers are linked to him. That wasn't out of nowhere. He is paying a visit, so a thing to keep track of for his timeline. And yeah, we'll just see. I mean, it's going to be interesting going forward. I'll just touch on this. We're still not done with awards. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, I mean, we're not done with awards. Sorry, my mind just totally went to a blank there while I'm pulling this up and making my computer get fried on Twitter. Linebacker Coach of the Year in the SEC is given out by our coaching network. DJ Smith, Mizzou's linebackers coach, won that. And then Kirby Moore and Curtis Looper, both named finalists for the Scoop Coach of the Year award. So a couple of assistants. We mentioned just how great and how deep this assistant staff is for Mizzou. Is looking at these coaches, staff getting some recognitions there.
I'm starting to think, DJ Smith has been around Drinkwitz for a while, and he's the co-defensive coordinator at the same time. I wonder how many other, like, maybe some, group of 5 teams are looking at him as a future defensive coordinator as well. He's a part of this success. He's, in Baker's ear. He's in the box looking at how this defense plays out. I do wonder if other teams are considering him as a future defensive coordinator down the line.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And hopefully just awards are wrapping up. Please be done. All right, let's race through a quick recap of the men's basketball game against Central Arkansas. Payton, I'm going to mostly turn to you for this because, truth be told, this was on Saturday and I was journeying back from Dallas, so I didn't get the chance to watch it. I was on various flights, and surprise, surprise, they have not posted highlights for a game against Central Arkansas. But Mizzou 92-59 over Central Arkansas, and I am pretty sure I know where Payton's going to turn in terms of the guy who performed well on Mizzou. I won't say it. I'll let Payton take it away with this man's performance as the Tigers snap their 3-game losing skid.
Yeah, Jesus Carolero played really well. I liked what he did, stretching the floor. I'm kidding. He was pretty worthless in this game. Yeah, Tamar Bates, I mean, he's been really good this year. He's about the only transfer I think that's really been a surefire hit for Dennis this cycle. I mean, he went 9 for 10 from the field, had 25 points in 24 minutes, 3 for 3 from deep. He's just a very confident player. Definitely the emotional leader of the team. Definitely helps when he can take some of the offensive pressure off of Sean East a bit. I mean, you don't really learn much from this game, though. I mean, Central Arkansas is now 3-12. It's not a good basketball team. I mean, you don't really get a lot of points. There were a couple things I didn't love, and only went 1 for 7. Not a great day for him. He did have a nice steal that led to his 1 bucket. But again, he's a freshman. It happens. Mizzou did not shoot overly well from deep in this game, only 25%. Noah Carter went a whopping 0 for 5. He wasn't very good in this game. It was mostly good. There was some bad still. Overall, they were playing a very bad team and got away with a lot. Aiden Shaw, I actually thought was really, really good. He had 10 points in this game, went 5 for 6 from the field, had about 3 poster dunks. He was pretty good. But yeah, gotta win you. Boy, we would have had some real unfortunate conversations if they had lost this game. But they didn't. They just took care of a really bad team. Now you're out of non-con. It's time for SEC play. I still think there's a lot this team has to figure out.
I am also in the same boat as Jack. I think I might have had an opportunity to watch this game. I didn't. I applaud you, Payton. We both applaud you. Everyone applauds you for giving your time to this basketball team. And we all know that was the program we followed a little bit more closely near the end of our college careers. But I do thank you for that recap.
Yeah, well done, Payton. I was flying. We were recovering. I mean, it was a party in Dallas, so
I didn't have the attention span for it.
Yeah, I was on planes.
I was worn out.
Yeah, I was on
pretty
planes.
Goddamn bored watching this game. I'm not gonna.
I was on plane, so I had to go in airplane mode, and I'm not paying for plane Wi-Fi. Truth be told, my only note: Jackson Francois did play in this game, so I'm very sad I missed the Jackson Francois minutes.
What a weekend for him. I mean, what 2 days? He was at the Cotton Bowl. We saw him on the Jumbotron. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Oh, wait, I didn't see him. He was there?
I didn't see him.
When Chase Daniel, they cut to Chase Daniel on the sideline, Jackson Francois and his mom, Desiree, were right behind him.
Oh, I only saw Desiree.
Jackson got out.
They let him go to the Cotton Bowl.
Unless I'm seeing something. I saw Jackson Francois.
I really don't think he was there. I'm going to be honest. I totally don't remember that.
I would be pretty shocked if they let him do that and then go back.
The day before. I mean, his mom is the AD. She's got her plane.
Yeah,
I swore I saw him. If someone was listening and can correct me on that, please correct me in the comments or just let us know. But I vividly remember seeing him on the Jumbotron.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
I remember someone telling me too to look up and see him. So maybe it was a dream. Okay.
Yeah.
I got one more thing. Since the Jackson State game, Noah Carter has not worn the curls or worn the braids. We know he's trimmed the curls a little bit now. The Tigers are now 6-3 in 9 games when Noah Carter
Okay.
has his curly hair, averaging 11 points. Just want to
Okay.
give that a little update.
Good update. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I've given my praise to DeMar Bates. I think him and Aiden Shaw are going to be electric going forward for this team next year. So I am glad they played well at least, but not much you can take from Central Arkansas. We will preview the Georgia game on Friday's show. So the first game on SEC play that comes up on Saturday at noon, we'll have a preview for that on Friday. So we'll touch on some more Mizzou men's hoops. Kind of didn't want to go too deep, one because they were playing Central Arkansas, and two because we spent 45 minutes recapping football. So we'll preview that game. We'll touch a little bit more on it, but shout out to DeMar Bates. Glad he's hooping for Mizzou men's hoops. So again, yeah, we'll have that preview on Friday. That also, you reminded me when we said the comments, everyone please subscribe to the YouTube. We're 1 subscriber away from 200. So thank you to everyone that has. Maybe we've crossed that threshold in the last, since I checked earlier today, but last I checked, we're still at 199. Now someone's going to unsubscribe. They do when you watch people watch going up to 1 million, then people unsubscribe. Don't troll us, please. We don't have enough subscribers for people to do that. So yeah, subscribe, like it, comment, do all that stuff. We appreciate everyone that does. And with that, I was also shout out to the people who let me plug the Unwritten Rule to them. I tried not to do that much in Dallas, but in the airport, I had a couple people. We were just talking, and we plugged the podcast. So hopefully we got some new listeners from that. But anyway, we'll segue. We'll finish the show. Awesome win for Mizzou in the Cotton Bowl. And yeah, we'll segue to quick hits, close things out. Okay, quick hits time. I thought I'd dress up for the occasion. This is my impression if Eliah Drinkwitz lost the bowl game and just go with his hair and yelling and throwing his hat on the ground. But anyway, had to put the visor on. But Kenny, I'll turn it to you. It's not Jack's sports shorts. It's Ken's sports shorts. What you got?
Eli doesn't have as much hair as you, though. I'll say that.
That's a good point. Well, I got to make
Eli.
Yeah, the younger Eli, App State Eli, or Arkansas State Eli when he got mad.
Boise State Eli. We'll say that.
Boise State. There we go.
Okay, so Ken's sports shorts this week. It's a short one. Only one question this week for you guys. There's been a handful of NCAA football teams that have played 4 times in the Cotton Bowl. I'm not going to go through every single team, but among those teams, only 3 have 3 wins in those 4 meetings in the Cotton Bowl. Can you name the 3 teams that have 3 wins in 4 games?
Penn State.
Correct. That's one.
Yeah, you literally told us.
You did tell us that before we started recording, but
I forgot about that. Okay, I will mention one thing. Penn State does have a better winning percentage in those 4 games than the other teams because of the one tie.
So, did you say including Mizzou? So is Mizzou another one?
I didn't say including Mizzou.
But so.
No, Mizzou.
Yes, Mizzou is one. Yes, Mizzou is one. There you go, Jack. You got it out of me. You beat it out of me.
Yeah.
Last team.
Can we get a conference?
I will let you have 3 guesses, then I will give you the conference, and you have to come together for that last one.
Okay.
Minnesota.
What the God? Payton. No. You just lit a guess on fire. I think it's another Big 10 team. It could be a Big 12 team.
You just said I lit a guess on fire, and then you said it's another Big 10 team.
Yeah, it's not goddamn Minnesota.
I don't know. They like to brag that they won.
Ohio State has been there a couple times, but I don't think it's them.
I want to just keep burning guesses now. Toledo. I'm just kidding.
Texas. Shitty guess. Fuck.
Incorrect, but I will let you know Texas has played in the Cotton Bowl 22 times, and the Longhorns are 11-10-1.
So
the next closest team is Texas A&M with 13, if that helps.
Jesus.
I didn't even think about that. Whoops. All right.
Jack, you got the last one.
Light a guess on fire, idiot.
Minnesota was your guess.
Texas was your guess.
Has Minnesota even been to the Cotton Bowl?
No.
Yeah, no. And you thought they played there 4 times.
All right. What about Michigan State, Payton? You think Michigan State?
I think it's Big 12 or Big 10. I don't think it's Michigan State, but it might be worth a guess.
Michigan State.
Michigan State is incorrect. The Spartans have played in the Cotton Bowl 2 times and are 1-1. The conference for this team, and it's not this team didn't play in all these Cotton Bowls in that conference, and that might help a little bit, but it's the American.
So now they're in the American.
Now this team is in the
Cincinnati?
American.
SMU, I think, is who it is. maybe.
Oh, that's probably right.
I think it's SMU. Wait, okay. Because
Okay, I'm going
SMU
to say it's not SMU. I would have said ACC if it was.
Okay, that's what I
SMU.
was about to ask.
SMU has played in 4, so that is a good guess, but SMU is 2-1-1. I'm not going to let you guys do that. So
Cincinnati.
Okay. Wait,
Payton. I'm not going to count it. You guys put your heads together and give me.
no, they're
give me
in
a
the Big
college.
12, Knowlton.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, they are.
Okay, so we have
Central Florida, maybe?
Let's go through them. No,
All right.
they're in the Big 12. Jesus Christ, man, get it together.
Sorry, realignment. You guys, I've been traveling for 2 straight days. I
Um,
don't got a brain right
Okay,
now.
we've got Memphis in the American. We've got Tulane. Oh,
Ooh,
could be Tulane. It really could be Tulane.
I'd fire it away.
Hold on. Memphis is in there. Tulane is in there. Who else do we got in the American?
South Florida.
USF is in there now, I believe. We got UAB moved there.
Yeah.
FAU moved there. Houston's not there anymore. I kind of like Tulane, to be honest
Tulane.
with you. Let's go Tulane.
It's not Tulane.
Is it Memphis?
It's not Memphis either.
Oh,
Wow.
I mean, these are some pretty good guesses y'all are throwing up. I kind of want to give you guys just one more. It's
Sure.
kind of
Okay,
funny
fine, give us
though.
one more.
So Tulane's only ever been once. That
Wow.
game last year against USC was the first time. So Tulane's not even included in the teams with multiple appearances because, I mean, it would be a very long list if they had every single team on this list I'm reading. I'll give you guys one more guess. A quick one, though.
Okay, so we have like UAB is in that conference. We have FAU in that conference. USF.
drawing up like a complete blank.
We got.
Can I look up the conference, like the list of teams? Is that cheating?
It's up
Go
there.
ahead.
Okay,
Alright.
AAC teams. It's not ECU. It's not Temple. I don't think.
Rice? No.
Oh,
Navy?
No,
Navy's
it could
been
be
around
Rice,
forever.
but you got to think about. Oh, it could be Navy. It could be Navy or Rice because
So the ones you're missing.
back in
Ready,
the
Payton?
40s and garbage,
Yeah.
it was just the Wild West.
I'll run through it. So it's Wichita State, no. Tulsa, Tulane, UTSA, Temple, SMU, USF, Rice, North Texas, Navy, Memphis, Florida Atlantic, ECU, Charlotte, and UAB.
Okay,
I think
so
it
our
could be Rice
options
or
are.
Navy.
I agree with you on that. I think it's either.
you wanna do-
Rice or Navy.
Do you want to do Rice or Navy?
So Navy? Wait, is Navy actually still in the AAC?
They're on the list of teams.
What do you think, Noel? Whatever you
I feel
go
like
with.
Navy because they're older.
I'll go with you, Navy as well.
Navy.
Oh, you guys were really close. You
Was
just
it
danced
Rice?
around it. It was Rice.
Damn it!
Rice was the team.
Is
I thought about giving you guys another hint and saying that this team was in Conference USA not too long ago.
I
Going
would have
down
gotten that. Dang it.
28-14 against Colorado in 1937. The second win came in 1949 against UNC, 27-13. And the final and third win for the Rice Owls in the Cotton Bowl was 1953 against Alabama, 28-6. Made it back
Look
one
that.
more time in 1957 and lost to Navy. So there's
Oh
your
wow!
midshipman 7-20.
Full circle.
Football for 1960 did not count.
Yeah, concur. All right, nice, Kenny. What's your best beat of the week?
Best beat of the week. I haven't posted the updated standings just yet because Iowa and Tennessee do play on Monday at noon. And Jack, you have the under on that at 36.5.
Yeah, that's
but your
right.
Celtics versus Lakers beat did not cover. The
No, it
Lakers
did not.
did not cover the 3-point spread.
It's because DeMoy Hodge didn't play.
That's a good way to think about it. So you are at 24-17, and that number could go up or down and go 25-17 or 24-18 by the end of tomorrow. For myself, I'm at 24-18 with 3 wins this past week. Texas State -4 against Rice, Memphis +6.5 against Iowa State, and Clemson money line against Kentucky. Payton, you had one bet. Very sad game. Not what we expected. But SMU -10.5 against Boston College, putting you at
Yeah.
25-18.
Jesus. What a debacle that was.
Do you guys think I can bet on the under an Iowa spring game?
Kenny,
Okay, I
what's
muted
your
him.
best beat?
My best beat this week, I have Mavericks -4 on the road against the Utah Jazz. I did this just because of scheduling purposes for myself for some of the work I do behind the scenes with the Twitter account. So I'll tell you that's why I'm taking a random NBA game. We were also in Dallas, and where we were staying,
That's why
we
I
could
thought you
see
did it.
the arena,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm taking the Mavericks here.
Shout out Kenny's family for giving us a killer view.
For real.
I'm going to go to the college football playoff. Boy, the Big Ten is getting beat up by the SEC right now. The SEC is 3-0 in New Year's 6 games. They beat Florida State's B team. Georgia did. Penn State was thrashed pretty convincingly by Ole Miss. Watch out for the Lane train. And, of course, Mizzou beat Ohio State. So I'm going to stick with the SEC. I'm going to have some conference bias here. I'm going to take them -2 over Michigan. I think that this is the right time for Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. I think this is the best coaching job he's done in years. Yeah, give me Alabama. This game could go either way, but I'm taking Alabama.
I'm also doing the college football playoff. Payton, for what it's worth, I agree with your pick. I locked my formal prediction for that game in at 28-14, Bama. I do think they're going to win. I'm also doing the college football playoff, though. Only the FCS playoff, of course. And I'm taking the Montana Grizzlies to cover a 12-point spread against South Dakota State. Some stats for you. Montana is number 5 in the FCS in points allowed. They allow just 17 points a game. South Dakota State may or may not be first with like less than 9. But that's besides the point, because Clifton McDowell is going to dot up the Jackrabbits. He's Montana's quarterback. He's on his 3rd school. He spent time at Central Arkansas and UL Lafayette and is now settled in with the Grizzlies. They will be on their way. I think it's to the championship. I didn't even check which round it was, but I think it's a championship game.
Knowlton, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think this bet is hitting because stats-wise, analytics-wise, South Dakota State is quite literally easily the best FCS team ever.
Well, okay.
So I don't think this is hitting.
You know what? Drinkwitz said it's about who wants it more. So as long as Montana State wants it more, maybe they'll cover. And
you don't think South Dakota State wants the FCS championship?
Not more than the Grizzlies, Payton. I'll tell you what. Move on. Please move on.
Okay,
I know I'm going to lose.
Jack, you can blame me for that one. I'm actually blame yourself for taking the Iowa under and messed up our whole scheduling of putting these bet graphics out. So this is your fault that you have to take this bet.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'll take that. Take that one.
Right.
Dirty Bird.
Dirty Bird of the Week goes to the UNLV football Twitter admin. This came from the game on December 26th against Kansas, and there's your bird connection. KU uses an uncalled push-off to get a big play down the field and then finds the end zone to make it 21-7. Not necessarily a ratio, 220 replies, 215 quotes and retweets, and 729 likes. Got a lot of likes just because, I mean, it's such a ridiculous tweet to come from a team-run account. And I thought that was just pretty funny. UNLV kind of sucks for Barry Odom. We took UNLV in that one, if I'm not mistaken, Payton. Rebels finished with 9 wins on the season, but lose in the Las Vegas Bowl 49-36. Or sorry, guaranteed rate bowl.
I was going to say it's not the Las Vegas.
My main problem with this tweet is that they didn't lowercase the K in KU. If they really wanted to hurt them, that would have been the way to do it. Payton?
Yeah, my dirty bird of the week, got to go with Joe Flacco here. He's a dirty bird for betraying his old team, the Baltimore Ravens. He is currently the quarterback. I don't know if any of you people are living under a rock or something. He's been quarterback of the Browns for the past 6 weeks. They beat the Jets this past Thursday. They are now going to the postseason with Joe Flacco at the helm. He's been lighting it up. It's unbelievable. He's thrown for over 1,500 yards in a 5-game stretch. Just an unbelievable job for Jumbo Joe. Kenny made a TikTok of him once.
So, yeah, I remember that.
I hit that, so I don't think anyone can find that.
Yeah, that's
probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one, Payton. He has been crazy. It'd be really fun if they get to match up. I want to see that, and then Stafford against the Lions with the Rams. Those two games would be fun in the playoffs, potentially for the NFL. My dirty bird of the week, I'm giving it to former Jefferson City J, OG Anunoby. Shout out. OG Anunoby was traded from the Toronto Raptors. I'm a little bit stepping on the fraud rankings, which we'll get to because, spoiler, we got the Raptors in there this week. But he was traded from the Raptors to the New York Knicks. Knicks absolutely fleeced this trade, or the Raptors, excuse me, absolutely fleeced this trade. They got RJ Barrett, Emmanuel quickly, and some draft capital back. The only take I want to have on this is that, I know we're not a big NBA podcast. It's so annoying when these teams trade for these, kind of average, decent players like they're superstars. This is a good haul that the Raptors got back for OG Anunoby, so I'm making him the dirty bird for increasing the value of players that are a lot worse than what they're traded for, which is just kind of ridiculous. But yeah, shout out to Jefferson City Jays, though. It's fun they have a talented NBA product. But
Surely he went to Mizzou.
Yeah, no, he did not. Payton, Indiana, in fact. Could not recruit him. He's a Brit also. He's from England. Kenny didn't know that. So if anyone else didn't know that. Anyway, I think it's time. I stepped on it a little bit, but it's that time. What time is it?
Kenny, what time is it? Kenny, what time is it? What time is it, Kenny?
Touches. It's from
fraud o'clock.
We're going back to the city of Arlington, where the Ohio State Buckeyes came in 2-0 all time. The Cotton Bowls. Guess what they left? 2-1.
Losers!
The SEC owns you. Mizzou owns you. Ryan Day.
With Block M's.
Erase that fake beard, you bozo. You
Where's
fraud.
Lou Holtz now, huh? Where is he?
I'd like
Hopefully
to see
yelling
what Jimmy
MIC.
Bakari is right now.
Yeah. Fraud.
Fourth on the fraud ranking is the Philadelphia Eagles. You could have called them the Dirty Birds. You could have called them the Frauds. Another loss for the Birds against the Birds of Arizona.
Philadelphia Eagles. They're not going back to no Super Bowl. I'll tell you what. Frauds.
Speaking of birds, you know what birds hate? Dolphins. They hate water. Miami Dolphins got beat up by the Ravens today on Sunday.
Yikes.
Ooh, what a bad one. What a stinker
Yikes.
for Miami.
Fraud of Iloa.
Fraud of Iloa. Got her a lot of injuries, too. Fraud injuries.
Yeah.
Not good. Fraud.
Second in the fraud rankings, and you can call it maybe not the Lions, but we'll say the referees.
The ref frauds.
Yeah,
He
the
was
NFL
eligible,
ref
Kenny.
frauds.
He was eligible.
Communication is not key.
Not
Football.
key.
Frauds.
Taylor
Or the referees.
Can't lead an offense. Still won the division, though. Congrats.
And first in the fraud rankings, Jack, take it away.
First in the fraud rankings, I mentioned them. They traded Anunoby. And then the Toronto Raptors, they lost to the Pistons. The Pistons, their losing streak is snapped at 28 games. They're not the losingest losers of all of Losertown in the NBA. They're tied with the Sixers. But the Raptors, how could you let this happen? We do believe in miracles, Payton. Miracle instead of malice at the palace. The Pistons snapped their losing streak, and the Raptors are frauds. Got worse and lost the worst team in the league. Shout out to Detroit Pistons. Congrats on the win. And that's your fraud rankings. Well done.
Here we go.
Yeah, the Raptors stink. Speaking of the Pistons, Kenny, you want me to take this or you want it? The ratio of the week.
That's all you. You're the one who said
Oh,
it.
it's all me. Yeah, speaking of the Pistons, I just love this. I know I've talked this narrative to death about the Pistons being losers. They did indeed snap their losing streak, but there was a funny thing on Instagram where someone had an old comment, and Kenny said it himself. He's never seen a comment with this many likes. We have our ratio of the week on Instagram. The Pistons posted, I have to pull it up on my phone because I'm not signed in on Instagram on my computer. So allow me to find this. It's an Instagram ratio of the week. The Pistons posted hustle over everything. Someone replied, Detroit Pistons is going to surprise a lot of people this year. Get ready. Why not Detroit? That had 7,900 likes on Instagram. A reply from a week ago that just said, this did not age well. 30,000 likes on an Instagram comment. Insane numbers. But ultimately, YNOT Detroit. Oh, why not Detroit? I get it. That's the account name. Got the last laugh because they did beat the Raptors. Why? I can't read. Sorry. Just ignore that. But we'll cut that part out. But yeah, 30,000 likes on a reply to a comment. But the Pistons did win. their losing streak is snapped. But there's one of your ratios.
Pretty sure that's even more likes than last time I saw that.
Yeah, it
when
was
you
like
sent it to us.
17,000 the other day, I think, when I sent it to you guys.
Yeah. All right, second ratio of the week goes out to Morocco T, a Titans fan, content creator, has the check mark, 7,000 followers on X. I will say interaction farmer is what I would do. This guy posted a video of him screaming about the Texans and about the Titans were going to steamroll them. Through the first or second quarter, replies were turned off, rightfully so, because the Texans thumped the little brothers from Nashville. My favorite part about this is this guy just hates Houston. He's wearing a Houston Oilers hat, and okay, it's just the Oilers logo. No, it says Houston Oilers on it, and this guy just knocks on Houston constantly, and he's repping Houston on his head. Some people are just idiots, and this guy is a prime example. 42 replies at right before he turned them off, 472 quote tweets and retweets, 355 likes, and 63 bookmarks. We'll see what the Titans do next week. The game means nothing to them.
They are bad.
The game next week means a lot to the Texans.
They're just so bored. I mean, I don't care to see any of the Titans at all. There's not any player. I don't care about Derrick Henry. I don't care about Will Levis. I really just, there's nothing that makes me want to turn on a Titans game.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Noel.
They played the Seahawks last week, and Seahawks barely won. And like I was never worried. Like it was just, I was like, it's just the Titans. Like they'll lose eventually.
Boring.
Kenny City felt slandered. He felt his city slandered. He had to rush to its defense. Well done, Kenny. All right, that'll do it for the show. Again, we'll preview the Georgia game for men's. We got to segue fully to basketball. This is so sad. There's no more football games to recap, to preview, but they ended on a high at least. I mean, what a win. Thank you to Dallas for being a great host city. It was very fun. Yeah, I mean, hopefully we're in this spot next year. Hopefully the three of us are traveling to Faurot Field for Mizzou hosting a playoff game in the new 12-team format. That would be electric. But until then, we'll keep, covering how this team's going to build toward that in 2024, as well as the rest of basketball seasons as the new year gets rolling. Conference play starting. We'll see what they can do. We'll see what happens. But yeah, hope everyone enjoyed the show. Hope everyone enjoyed the game. Subscribe if you're watching on the YouTube. Leave us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. This has been the Unwritten Rule presented by Bet Online. We will see you guys on Friday.